say?
Oh, Nyamiadum. I will say the most important thing is yeah. The rest.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then Yamia say, and I topics I discussing here, me and sir, me patcho the kind, me shadana many come one man because I mean, say a main topic I ever discuss in tonight, you can say, me touch on it. No, and it's a Chief Justice, former Chief Justice, Mammy Gertrude, it's about Torkornoo, what chalk out at the Akopium High Court to say, say President Mahama, any committee, no report, no chance, say, or Union Free as Chief Justice, ni Debre Krano as Supreme Court Judge. On TSS was no so yejeka ho into what challenge e no e wo court to say process no na ni nhye da enye ho enti e no enwa asem no enti be ba cho innocent ye aba no wi na the attorney general because say ni nyina ye law no na the age de na okeka na dwen kire Ghana Bar Association no ato aso
ya ma mencha na mencha watie for na menka se o say growing up no na akra bia we akra wadwen se panyini bia nim nyansa until say obenyina do level bia won so be chance ya process nema put two things together na be say san panyini bia na nim nyansa asada akra o nim nyansa onwu onkra brem no onyini be panyini. And it's the same thing. Sana first, not in China, you have no understanding about legal issues. No, be kind of TV, so na radio. So sabi okay, come kwasa some crowd. Why do you say sabi okay Kenyans asem? Some na okay no won't tears yet.
Yeah.
But now Sri Kenya me say a man for it me really wide.
Sure.
They subject issues to critical scrutiny. Fault then you fault cry once you have your friend sense then you can analyze and look at certain things. Anything and who say Ghana for not do na venture into some of these areas otherwise they wouldn't go because people anya uncertain understanding and more that are to probe into some of the issues like this.
Yeah.
This Chief Justice issue, I think say what in China would say the sequa ne anya de oye no na sabi ebuma bam na mum I give credence to the fact say in some Ghana for over the years say your judiciary no aye staffy and there are a lot of chaff aye pia kwa gugum no aye no kre. Because some of the arguments now also, especially with this new way, clearly within church means that this is absolute nonsense and very childish in whichever sense that you want to say.
Yeah.
First of all, or say relief now or seek, for the want of jurisdiction, or say president committee now or set it up, say tenancy committee was not properly constituted.
Yeah.
And this Okasa was not properly constituted under Article 146. Clearly, Constitution outline the individuals as a panel or more, and two Supreme Court judges.
Yeah.
And the President Mahama committee, two Supreme Court judges and and other people Nina was in line with the Constitution. So the mere fact that you have issues with the individuals in your twisted mind, you think they are not neutral, whatever. That's a different thing. But the fact is that to argue legally, say it was not properly constituted, on what basis in the law, and our said they were not legally constituted, and now two Supreme Court judges, or Supreme Court judges, other person or a lawyer and or your lawyer, and two Ghanaians don't become Togolese and Japanese. These are some of the arguments when you are able to ground your argument on some of these things, then people will say you are making sense. But my culture said from day one, why exposing the advertising and otchere say, Lord, and I'm making me nim kind of us and no the sort of understanding about the law is totally different and very shocking because my culture. This is the Chief Justice, or the administrative head of the judiciary. Otiminya kukudro fa pen ni paper. Ede court to say, constitutional provision. Your constitution, my say proceedings of this nature should not be shown on TV, but rather should be held in camera. She had the infantry to right to court to say, young vary that particular constitutional provision. Now you know with TV, so but you need to look at the reasoning behind it. This is a Chief Justice who understands that this is an explicit constitutional provision and no court has the power to vary it. But for her to make a case that you change, we are Ghana near, you should be worried. And again, she's saying, as a Chief Justice, na yenyi na di as a Supreme Court judge. This is absolute nonsense. And you see, and I make us say case bia maame we yatena so bia no. The new Chief Justice should be petitioned. Now, open those cases, because if this mindset and all the tenor who did this same way, clearly just something untoward might have occasioned somewhere. But because the reasoning and understanding of the law, no, is some way weird. Because you are Chief Justice, is premised on the fact that we are your friends, justices of the Supreme Court. So when you become your friends a Chief Justice, you are an ex officio, because you cannot be a Chief Justice without being your friends a Justice of the Supreme Court, of the Supreme Court. So once you are a Chief Justice playing an administrative role, you are an ex officio, meaning your position as a Chief Justice is tied to the fact that we are your friend
Supreme Court
judge. And here is the case. You have been flagged, you are incompetent legally because the constitutional process has been set in motion, and you have been flagged as an incompetent person, or flouted law. So and this, some of these things have to do with character. And as a woman, baby, you be here so obi you better discharge uttermost of integrity and the character. It is not the Chief Justice, it is the judge as a Supreme Court judge. As I don't know whether you get it. So if the whole argument is what from and you are now a disgraced Chief, a disgraced Chief Justice. You have been flagged. So what bumra, one famra nyajuma, what the open away, and you as a Chief Justice. It means that integrity is battered. And if there is an institution where absolute integrity is required to engineer its activities, it is the Justice of the Supreme Court. So once you've been removed as a Chief Justice, there is no way, no sensible person can make any argument to say you can come back as what? As a Supreme Court judge. Because you are a disgraced person, you be a good and you must catch us a one family and to find and the member Supreme Court. I'm about telling him say dinasa mano. This thing is common sense. And sometimes you listen to people trying to make argument for some of these. Say sometimes you see Fabu China just use common sense, reasonable. If you try to be reasonable, you know that some of these things are highly untenable. Because for instance, my mom example, Oko teaching hospital, very often the doctors and your friend is saying CEOs. So Wako a particular hospital, Oko no CEO at your boss and office, our officer, or Ato Forson, as a CEO. Or yes, I did because in the power as a CEO, no when you take advantage in a yachano. Some person I yachina say, yeah, some meaning, on to be the CEO of the hospital, now obey by a doctor, our hospital. Because assembly has to do with moral character, what display actually say, with integrity. Go to your judiciary, your friends say all the regulations, in absolute and in no uncertain terms. So when you're judge, you must espouse integrity, you must advertise integrity, you must live integrity at its uttermost. This is somebody who has been seen and who has been flagged. And a constitutional provision, and as a constitutional provision has been activated, and now you have become a disgraced Chief Justice in Aminu Obiko. You become a disgraced officer. Such an officer, you argue with Gyamfi back. Now, do you think any serious person will even ever respect the judiciary ever again? Because putting somebody who has been flagged as an incompetent person. So some of these arguments, and I don't know, baby, the law. Now I don't know the kind of interpretation sometimes, and I will be surprised. Will be in the Senate, and our money yes, or somebody should whisper to her, say, "Oh, good and you see, years of dedication, there was several arguments now, or making or subjecting who to public mockery. Because don't you ever think that? What are we a Chief Justice? You are an embodiment of the law. You understand it and nobody should speak. No. There are other areas that people can just subject it to critical scrutiny and begin to ask questions. Your understanding of the law is flawed. And then that brings back to question. And some of what's not to be seen there. So anyway, and all the things is problematic. You understand? That is why I am calling your friends the new you have the Chief Justice say every single case we are talking no atena so bia no they all ye should give us a reason to go back and probe into some of this, because this thinking and this reasoning, should never be allowed to come anywhere close to be sitting at the Supreme Court bench or the DSM. So I think it's very embarrassing watching all this. Then coming the to the force, baby, the last time I said we started here, the very moment the petition was submitted, the president Kasi me established a credence, and I told you on point blank, there is no going back. This woman, whatever way be, because you see. At the Supreme Court, I think because I don't know we are so special. Nipa to me change the future.
Yeah.
There's the only institution ever to me to take your life.
Yeah.
Or make me say yenkoku, nansana yase yamrani yase sana kakra. But this is the only institution that can withdraw your right to life. So it is such a sensitive institution. Say we are judge now. You must discharge integrity. People have, even though we are nipa there, but you must endeavor, try your best to ensure, say you will not. You find the shame public confidence in that kind of idea, man for war. But so better now argument I will make it, and I say president need to me say obesa cannot and process it's not in line with the details of article article 146 ebia ono version share them already and answer the version my culture said this whole process is not a novelty because constitution and mention chief justice and mention your friend say head of the tribunal whatever and there's some mention of judges at the Supreme Court. It is a categorization and the process now you remove a judge at the Supreme Court win and one you remove chief justice. The only difference there is just by name and by identification. And a chief justice, the only way we are different from a judge on the Supreme Court bench, and say you have been given extra administrative role. Chief justice no can administrative role.
Yeah.
And your core function is a judge. Is the reason why I be a chief justice sell you are just an S official. A chief justice is premised on the fact that you are a judge. And to win a judge, you cannot
assume that
you cannot assume that role. And the flag was we are incompetent. I was say okay, Munji chief justice, now we have a sense of shame. No reasoner will even make this argument. So I think that in some now is a bit twisted. Maybe and I make an assemble na who answer for maybe nema nkoye and a nipa no motwa ne ho ahye omutu no fo no so no they are not giving her wise counsel because this is take here at some point I'm told say or the nkrofo kopa president Mahamadu Bawumia resign and that you know nam court na say so clearly say if answer me no kra I give you an impression of somebody who is not stable. Somebody who is emotionally unstable, onim the oil, and people are just engineer or push you kwaha. And I'm sure, so you see, why inspire a lot of people? I'm for be channel and why inspire more. This is not an opportunity to be good anymore because some of the arguments she's making obviously are quite childish and they are irrelevant and good anymore. She's just subjecting herself to public ridicule because there is no court. Let me say there is no court in this land. I look at what so I'll bet me arrival at a decision say the woman should go back to the Supreme Court. No court. That court will be the most unreasonable court ever because that particular ruling will defy reasoning, it will defy common sense, and it will defy logic. It will never happen. So she should know better and stop all this nonsense. You understand? And rather find a way. If there is a way, accept your fate, you still have life. Now the public service in the Yabamano. And I don't go say already Supreme Court and now Supreme Court. Yeah, I know I'm from where Bayajuma. They've even almost stop here more in their private enterprises. They are doing better. So is she saying that she cannot thrive and answer that because process now. President Akwa Addo, it will be very almost impossible for any court to reverse it. Because don't forget that the president just exercised an executive authority. For it to be revoked, you will need a mountain of a reason, reasonable, sound, and very logical to be able to cancel it. So the oil, I think that is just politics. Or in free space, because they say not here. You see, because of maybe she thought say it was going to trigger a wave of public sentiment among for Bekambiamano. But we say galamsey issue crab kata. It shows a Ghana for Ghana for are concerned about the sanctity of the institution called the judiciary. They don't care about any individual. And to what Nasa Braba Obo Nyina egu sa judiciary no hu fia sema obi anka bi ma metesa one of MPP boys bi kotena TV zika say NDC for aye ye fa Ghana for aduro na eye no nwanwa so pam chief justice amanfo bufu no people don't care because abro mo to mo judiciary no ba brabobone ma ruling na se binyansa nim no ya Ghana for warn them on social media. Young people are out there advocating the need the judiciary will restore its sanity back. People were using it as an instrument of terror. People were using it as an instrument to cow people into subjugation, intimidating people and do a whole lot of nasty stuff. And you think and your friends say we're not turning on you young people will waste their time because chief justice who cares about you, understand? So I think that she miscalculated this whole thing. Mr. President Mahama Fumemra, I will be the first person to sit here and call him out. And I'm saying since the activation of this whole process thus far, nobody, and with her surrogate, when the TV so Kenyans assemble, article was breached, article was breached. Nobody. All that they say is and the floodgate has been opened. A buying for bar or no super pump chief just me said that me said we shouldn't change any law because there is no constitution under the sun anywhere in the world. You can check any democracy. Granting absolute tenure to anybody operating under a constitution. Always there is a window for removal. Even the president, who is the most powerful person on this land, can be removed through impeachment by parliament. So we cannot create a shield of a position. The best guarantee I will be papa. Now I'm making sure that you inspire public confidence, and trust. That tenor safeguarded, but no law, no legislation can safeguard you if you decide to do things. Maybe you Russia, South Korea, North Korea, other like China, no more democracy, or more dia, and that's a different thing. But in any civilized democratic dispensation, trust me, there is no position that is ironclad. I do and think I talk about our hands are tied. No, we needed to save the judiciary, and for me, that is it. I mean, I don't know my catch up President Mahama said. You see, maybe I sanitizing the judiciary, make me focus in near Soha. Say you come from her, Sabi. Kwasia ruling a man for a man or from Hono, okay, be with them at the lower court. Most of them travel to the high court and they quash them. Let us spend time and go to the grounds, the lower court magistrate in as a form of
circuit court.
Exactly. A man for a gentleman and Kokon as a for the more will as a binyan sending Obiako Kokon ya jail 30 years in as a form. I think your sentencing regime, we need to look at it holistically. Now you're making sure say and ma for the mrabaya juma and the process is very transparent. Obia otchere all the assembly no qualify with that integrity and on nipa what demonstrators or bias. And now quite a high court now. Most of them Akufo Addo staff almost 100 judges before Ansana Owusu. And some of these people are party executive, people with known party ties. Very soon, these people will rise and become Supreme Court judges with their own biases. I know that what will be the future of this judiciary. That is why I am calling on whoever becomes the Chief Justice going forward, to spend the time in not only look at the judiciary, don't sanitize it. Because my culture is one institution we cannot afford to fail. Now, see, the dear grown-ups and near magic and summer. That's a Ghana for sorry. Obi a big So it's for Mami way there. Everybody should see her as a disgraced Chief Justice who has been sacked. She's no more relevant in the scheme of affairs. Let us forget her. She can go to court. And I'm saying that this particular way, court in about because this thing has no reasonable basis. I will be generous granting anything. She's frustrated. Unfortunately, she's not heeding to wisdom and wise counsel. And I ogun anima say, Uncle Sungun anima say, no one about to obey. Because never in fact, I think Ghana should focus and ask the president, say, dear Abano Babasono, the Naya Cano, say, sanitize your judiciary, Chief Justice Corner doesn't mean that we are done. Then my focus is on the lower court. Yeah, you be. Uko lower court. my cost air time. We need to spend time and make sure that we sanitize the judiciary. And for me, that is the most important thing. I know what Chief Justice our arrogance and she's fighting her way back to come and sit on what bench. And I always say the impunity in the Supreme Court bench. So I think she should give us a break.
All right, for age Diana to us, so Simon someone should tell Mr. Siedun Ketia to stop the thank you to. They ask for Chief Justice, leave her alone. She has no case. She is abusing the affirmative action as a woman. Oh, please tell President Mahama for me that if pre-bargaining is a plea bargaining, PLE, correct is favor NPP and NDC criminal, then it must favor the phone stealers, plantain, goat stealers, and food items because they are also Ghanaian. I think I agree with you. If I am one person of my corner and then we are going to I don't know what I'm doing too. I think you are making a lot of sense. And
me side me no back on age abaso back so obesia I go day in top. Yes, the courage to confront the friends of the Ghana Bar Association. Many people think that these are a esteemed group of lawyers. They should be the moral compass of the legal fraternity in this country. You may have your partisan alliances and biases, but in the discharge of your role as a moral compass of an entity, regulating the legal fraternity in this country, you must discharge that way, a partisan, neutral, and gender trust, public confidence. Somebody among Phobe who said this is a body to the idea Ghana for. But in recent times, the Ghana Bar Association has gained notoriety for being dangerously partisan bias. And the biases are quite obvious. And for me, nobody has been able to call them out. Yes, some of us have been sitting here and be calling them, say, such biases, sometimes are quite nauseating. You understand? You may have your political affiliation, affinity, or whatever, but don't use the institution or the agency and as a group now to be fronting your weird views about any other political party. When this whole Chief Justice thing started, we had them making some unwitty noise and some unwitty criticisms. I know that they could not even ground their criticism on anything in law. It was just mere emotional fun and I know more. I know that they Ghana for Basio, they couldn't even come back again. And the Abasana, it means that you as an institution, you have no credibility. Because if you start a fight, now more grounds, now some hetewa, you will have to prepare and come back again. They went back. Since then, it means that it is some sort of an agenda group, a pressure group of a political party, and it's not supposed to be so. Because in some Chief Justice, William Fise. There are people who almost suffer the wrath of Article 146 in this country. Mekaya, Shroud Boss, went through the same process. Charlotte said, "Now, Kuma, or Kwana, the end there, and Sana MPP Baba Court, or Baba Power, no, or what in the court, Emma, back and forth, or by no, so President Mahamadu has said, no, council sanitize it, you the judiciary. This is a people, what time not in the court and in a chair, one kai, you have commission MPP, Kuma say. Abu Ramadan and as a forum. Issues never a contentious issue. They went ahead, found reason to remove that particular woman. Ghana Bar Association never uttered a word. Kroma say, President Akufo Addo, Abra announced an investigation of 4 judges na Ghana Bar Association, no more to China, no more Togo. They never issued a statement, you understand? And President Mahamadu, yes, you have every right if something goes wrong. But there hasn't been any constitutional infraction thus far. And if you are crying foul, the question is, what is the basis? Ebasa, you may be doing it with a good of intention, but people will see you say, oh, wait a group of we are more advocating for a political party. And for me, that professional group, should not be doing that. And that's the worry. And I'm Ghana for your more hope I'll go and look at any news item that comes with Ghana Bar Association. Go down and read the comments. Because trust me, sir, kind of way I'm for expecting any hope. And when a group now I'm for respecting you are dead. And that is what this particular institution is paling into insignificance if they don't know. Because all TV and I've listened to a lot of good lawyers in this country who have tend to even criticize them, say it's some kind of a saboteur group, some individuals in the fronting of modern area political agenda. Because say Yatra Koma, Ghana for among for human rights, ya abusu, yachi among for yakot abdati among for from home. Bongo ideas, akwaraketo in the field, yakofana najo. Mami airport campaign in us for what is a Ghana Bar Association can say Mrabi obiti amrasoa. Now what Transikawa no pardonas and Yama who way in Akoso. Now all of a sudden you turn around that. And more William Visa Akufo Addo Etisano or Moody Sanse Murina Ghana for cancer say and Mrabi ba that's a man for Sasa more Kasa. They will remind them. And here we are. Eto bi asabi wunim nyansa akra no nsam bi wo ha because of some of these things you even be careful how to navigate, but Anam said that biases are quite obvious, you know, they can't even hide it. So I think we see some of these things and it's the reason why they've lost credibility. Nobody even take them serious. Even there are lawyers who are part of them, they don't even regard them anymore. You understand? And so I'm not telling them sober reflection. They will know they've lost their essence, and that there is the need for them to also undergo that plastic surgery now, to recapture their old glory. Because now I'm for GD or Ghana Bar Association as well. But I know it is a political movement and nobody takes it serious anymore. And then on the side of the plea bargaining, you see, we cannot be sitting here and be hiding behind constitutional phrases, jargons, and those kind of nonsense just to buy people way out. You see, Adeba Ghana for Gina somebody to Abama John Mahama Pa and say, hold these criminals accountable.
Exactly.
That term is non-negotiable. That is what people are looking at. People want justice because we feel some individuals being to me. And by the virtue of the fact of to me, you know, we are Ghana for ball, Ghana for Torkornoo, and we are not going to sit down for that particular thing to continue. And the only way to stop it under this John Mahama administration is to by punishing those who stole in the past. And you need to show your friends a readiness. You need to show certain combativeness, certain your friends a willingness. Be a man for we are really serious. Yes, plea bargain. Maybe people don't know. You see. This whole concept of plea bargain, you know, emerged somewhere in the 19th century in America. And the reason was quite just simple, America, those in the 19th century, before it became institutionalized in common law jurisdiction, you know, America started first. Now, they did now, court now cases no door to because na crime was on the certain industrial way, no air cost, no, na crimes air cost be pray. You know, defendant and prosecutor say and Sammy doors until the more to say budi for no more now you pay and samamra. Then they started negotiating with the offense the guilty plea for no now say are you ready to bring it me the beba na ya ma bia one ya kodam na say be ya pressure na case load na e wo ho no ye be free na judges le benya omuwe. When they started in America, one thing and very common is it undermines justice. Because the whole essence of this criminal justice system is to make sure we get justice. Because we offend you, we need to make sure we balance the stakes. We affected, we feel comfortable. Say yes, I'm right, but the first sad not undermining justice. So the argument in the course, then it got adopted into common law, your friends jurisdiction. And common law, so you have to spread the baby, and the woman. But the core criticism now has never changed. It undermines justice, Yet, 2022 when they amended a law, and Kofono lead the amended law, no. I had the very people more chance who say, hey, mind they say the real do a level beer, your coffee, ya and Liamabacobone. Until let us change the laws. Now I'm for plea bargaining, no message. Nasi Yakoviania, Quatrafio, Canasi, and Kofo be who can. All that you do is yes, and no crime fire, many will be negotiated. So you see, that particular way now, Attorney General has become so much fixated on it, or the Trump card or the Nam Town, was a political card and Kupona played the Ato. So you are just going by their playbook. If you are smart, I don't know whether you get the argument.
I get it.
Because your friend Governor Dame.
Yeah.
He's the one defending most of these criminals today.
Yeah.
And he's the one who led that particular thing because he was the Attorney General and Parliament as a rubber stamp entity, you know, they had it slotted into our law. Yes, it will be good for good reasons, but not when the stakes are high. Highly contentious political issues are the general public are looking for nothing because Ghana want blood.
Yeah,
they want to see blood oozing because people have committed atrocities, both economic and political atrocities against this country, and they want to see people bleeding. So you cannot be playing plea bargaining and be using legal jargon. And the history, where it came from, and the major criticism I travel history with, and that criticism has never. The question is, so if it is about caseload, do we have issue with caseload? And I say a caseload, they been a year to mitigate it. My culture say across the regions, you will court will be. So why can't we even decentralize this court system? Na se nipa na omowia no ye di obi asem watamale ye di obi de otechima ye di obi de osunya at the same time. And say age no any resources let us resource the entity just to ensure that the judiciary will have the capacity to be able to do some of these things. Because you see, we are not in a rigid criminal justice system here. Yes, you are operating a criminal justice system in isolation. We are doing politics and it is governance. So you see, when you stick to law and you forget about the fact that you are governing, you forget about the fact that you are leading people who have genuine sentiment. That's who play by the strict rules of law. Whenever now what disconnected with the people. Whenever now the governance and the political aspect of it, what lose favor with the people and you go down. You understand? So some of these things, are meant for other private way or they can argue, but when you are in part of a government and you are leading your friends at the judiciary, you cannot be playing this plea bargaining card. You need to make sure say Adena no satisfy what the people want. Or Ghana for instance, and you see some of the mistakes open a lot of mistakes. But NDC taking over power. When they started, no case, submission of no cases, most of the I told you that this thing will come back to bite you. The very moment they started cutting people loose, you drench your credibility. So you know that it will not survive our ruling. And let us travel and let it die naturally. And people will not point fingers at you because you cannot be your friends are taking your people out of prosecution cases in the
expect to be the
case. You see, some of this is common sense. If only you are willing. When that thing started, I said, "This we are shooting yourself in the foot." Say and I said, your friends saying, "Why Ato Forson and I say, ye court." Now, say, what can I say? Who say nima? Because of yes, ordinary, that's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. Allow me to go through.
Because a normal judicial system, yes, it is good to make that decision, but governance is part of it. Because at the same stage, there will be a repair show. And it's a case, make sure that you speed up the process and let the court pronounce judgment on it and set the people free. You don't cancel cases and expect to say, Amanfo will agree with you when you go after these people. You understand? So I think that these are the mistakes. I know that they are buying at the early stages. And no, you appear a bit compromised. Amanfo who say will call left and now will call right. Because Amanfo because was starting to grow for freedom. Behind them now over the prosecuting and then you may even have the will, but people don't even trust you anymore. Especially when you flip in this plea bargaining thing. So I think that the plea bargain, is not what the people of this country want. They want their money to be recouped, especially where Nipana we are your friend saying phone away. Wako Yusua say Fabra na ya say obi negotiate na sika no 16%. Even where the person is willing to pay extra, na me call Bank of Ghana na me could $10,000 and $100,000. Na me di kodidwa.
Now the Koye investment. Now 10 years after, now 10% extra. You are motivating people to engage in criminality. And all that you have to do is to find good lawyers or me a delay court case in court. Now we your business.
I know that you make money and be able to pay and pay back. I am not sure that this plea bargaining thing is deterrent enough. We need to walk away from it. It is not for the AG to be negotiating for criminals on their behalf or whatever. We need to be very brutal and very ruthless, especially in America and other places. We see almost democracy, or more crowd to a pointer. They've been able to attain economic independence. So in America, we are not still, the economy will not come down. We are starting from the ground. Try to build the economy. There should be zero incentive or motivation for people to engage in criminal economic crime. We need to make it a very high risk entity people will not like to go into. And the plea bargaining is not something to start with. I think Nasa existing criminal justice system and make room for say so this thing is not a novelty. The existing criminal justice system na the government opportunity to take the money and at the same time jail the person. You understand? So I think what the government will need now is the willingness to go after these people, because Ghana for our watch so President Mahamadu Bawumia Ghana Nebia. Now, or the $100,000 to be account to now 4 years so not just criminals are still masquerading walking on the street of this country. The government will suffer badly, I'm telling you.
All right, my fire last topic, and so Mohammed was say I found it so fantastic. Keep the fire burn. Mohammed was say, what is wrong with this former Chief Justice Kra? Was a good submission by Ivan Che Innocent. Saving Joe or say why is solo please solo about next week. So all right, strong Ahmed was say he lied to the short memory group that after giving him mandate within 4 months in office, the galamsey will stop. Okay, now what do we see? Lies and thievery everywhere, and these lies are inseparable. All right, NDC and lies are inseparable. All right, okay, so you know, so far way in chato, Dr. Bawumia Pacho on behalf of NPP as a political party, and then was say appointees, ministers, Obia, including Onuemu, or my Ghana for Bonnie to a Ghana for say, Yamfa one Bonnie and Chewomo. Oriana, Dr. Richum Gasabram Stro. Oh, power bonnet one for me count. May your mammy education me fix say, one I will say economy into a patchwa, unqua patcho. Now, no see Yana, you the 10 cents of a duchum swabber. Now, can it or not cousins if you are matani woe, more about me, I have banta pen about me, also, me as well as I had free. And over the 10 cents of a duchum swabber. I do me, Madame, Mese Uncle Pentecost. Preaching about Fataro, Pentecost or Sunday, now soon seen this one or now President. Yeah, bro. Yeah, but I think it's funny, and I'm because say there is no modicum of respect I attach it to the politics that we do here. Yeah, we think we are still dealing with the gullible folks who know who are more left from their right. Omofri said that people are still submerged in this unwitty childish politics. Drenched with emotions, that kind of media and at any point in time, no, somebody or feels a politician can take the people for granted. Sure. Say any nasty stuff and get away with it. Because Dr. Bawumia Abaimu Nana failure na all come quite apparent. When the economy got worse, you know, that was the time I sent apologize to the people of this country. But I'm not so even after elections, I told you, sir, they needed to go. How many times I'm on Trananka said they needed to go on their knees and apologize to the people of this country, even on this platform, because you messed the economy up. The people repose trust and confidence in you. You betrayed them. You pretend that say you had all the theories, whatever. At the end of the day, you know, you came in to perceive selfish parochial interest. Every other corruption are taking center stage. You left the economy in the mess, in the tatters. Ghana economy, you know, still grabbing nothing and yet try to put pieces together. And the Nipa no apologize on their behalf. President now di a corner in Nankasatifi. Onenya Akoto Makancha Ghana for Munya Akoto na Modi to me, ma, Mintime Pamochao.
He still feel comfortable, and I've listened to a lot of people who says, "Oh, Akufo Addo." Me say, "Yeah, na mo be more but damn." You don't even understand governance politics.
Agyapong classic Ghana for you yesu.
He said already he's a joker. Maybe I don't know whether he understands. So you see, and Samna, that's the gravity of issues. Among for nam so awo.
Yeah.
I know prominent Ghanaians who mo ebia ya kunafo ebi mo lose omo mame no papa no. And you think this concept of an apology will bring back the very people they lost?
No.
When you took those reckless economic decisions, you knew at the time, say, Adena Woye no, other means could have been activated to ensure by says but you were not prudent. People were stealing. People were making money. People were packing money. Say, Oba be jina ka say, me na me finance party no, me to pick up 350 way. Because adwuma be na wo ye ya ultimate to pick up 350 dem obi. Na so obi na de be chair wa. Jo Mahama kwaje Ford ba ko pe free obi ho no. Ya say oye corrupt. Na wa wo ye vice president obi be chaw. Ya fan say pick up makoma ko 350 no wo ye den.
Ford no kwa ba so mbetwi. Pick up the party for the echi.
Exactly. So you and America say your politics na ye you just to them into be a ope. And I think that you say I straight financial monitoring. Kroma, I should check when man for Sika be a free bar, whether it is legitimate or not. Nipanutia home, your friends are tax and answer I am not sure that you see some of these jokers parading them with Sikana my way. Because every amount you mentioned, the financial intelligence unit should be able to track you to know where you are getting that particular money from. Because Obia who seek it to go to the higher office, you should not be having ties with sources we cannot verify. Who knows if the people financing you are drug barons? What are their criminal syndicates? So I know that the Woje power now they are coming to take over, and I know because some of the other jurisdictions drug cartel not supposed to take over because they finance and sponsored most of the candidates. You understand? So I think that Bawumia there, he's desperate. Just trying to seek relevance because there is nothing about Ghana for convince we some on because the original way now holding in the economy and 8 years we go and demand such Ghana for say one number because economy near the share one sa what is the pansam and there na woko gina so and Akufo Addo aban ni nyina nkasa so a very terrible way you intimi mfa nya campaign and he doesn't have any way be on the campaign. So now he's playing the sympathy card. Let me go and apologize to Ghana for no muhume but my men can't tell us nyema hunu no apa ho so pasa wo ti ase a ko na no ba bi omkoto ewa kwatia. They were telling people so our corner oh mama yense na dimonyam na wuru kwana for so wu ye na and this for na chain from odi wu ye. People did not vote for you because of that. What young people want today is development. How their life eco progress. Because over the years, we've been taken for granted. Somebody becomes a politician, all of a sudden, fabulously rich, or sissy mansions, nobody questions anybody. And the young people have come to the realization that we can no longer continue to monetize the political space and make people rich at our expense. The resources must be discharged in such a way that Obia Benyabi and to me now, Abrabo Papa Ben the boy,
exactly.
Abrabona na wobono. Did you ever even realize not something wrong now? And you been buy Dr. Bawumia na economy na ya to the deal west kid na se for na on kan ho asem na odi IT achi. When you know nothing about technology na IT na se for you don't know anything about it. They ever trash on some na de nam na de kekan and the economy no abandon them. Ma who say Bawumia na aye no o aye na Wi-Fi. Nje say onye economy bi. Yes, Wi-Fi sign and this is a guy who has distanced himself from the economy and then he's fronting digitalization and IT. Now we are not and even nature is not in support of Niema or Moyen. So I think that my major concern is that I'm praying that young people will grow in mind. They become mature in politics. They begin to understand. So Obijono didn't touch it, you see them through. Because man, it doesn't take a second to see a liar, and I will be all kinds of we don't need to take that person serious. And I think that is where we are today. And he's doing all these things when Yakukodro to be saying all this because politics now has become so cheap. Because in other jurisdictions, and can course see respect for the people of this country and can the best of can say, oh, Ghana for me, and you let me get out of the race. Now in the future, I will come back again. In America, it happens. It happens most of the time. Joe Biden, abroad, your friend is saying, Abranti with Mr. Abranti, Obama.
Yeah, Obama.
Everyone, at the end of the turn, now he was the best person to run. But I'm saying at the end of the turn, near Kwaku Annan, Joe Biden didn't show up. And then the man, your friend said, we're in the Clinton, you don't buy, Oba ya uncle and son after 4 years or prepare on Obama Kobe because Abino, you cannot distance yourself from Obama government. Yeah. They are cause uncle be in the core
part of it.
And it's fresh on the minds of the people. They are angry. So they don't want to see you. So you cannot distance yourself from the president and say the media when they were doing it. No. That means you are a coward. Because me, I want to take responsibility for whatever that I do. I will not run away. Tell people, yes, we meant good. But it didn't turn out well. We apologize. We are going to sit back. By now, shifting blame. And then cry is so funny. And other people are also MPP now So I think that let's continue to engage Ghanaians. Say Ghana for anything. Na omu ete politics ase near emotions and na me asante na me yanwen ani sanse mununu from adwenim and they begin to premise their reason for voting on something reasonable. I'm sure that a lot of these people will pale into irrelevant because my culture political stage near cheap and a lot of people have taken over the stage wearing expensive clothes but very cheap in mind. At Arena said no boy heading but I did that it very cheap. Your friend saying at the force was no I've been in ordinam. And these people should not be given the opportunity to come close anywhere to governance. And also in recent times. So I think let us attach seriousness to governance. Now you're making sure but yet the other boy pescantina Kwabrani Betima Bejinaka say, my Barbara, Sisi Adan, we used to go Cantino, Yame president. Oh, but damn, I said the Kennedy president. And Yavan say, Elon Musk and as when they rule America.
All right. Thank you very much, Richard. I say, Iron Lady, follow Bia.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.